look up into the top of this amazing turkey oak, which has been growing on this bank, we think, for about 120 years. It's got a huge canopy. It's easily 100 feet tall. And it's a magnificent tree. But I'm afraid there is a problem. When we look at the base of this gigantic turkey oak, we can see immediately that there's trouble. Huge saddle funguses have grown in the last year. Before these fungi grew, there were bleeding cankers dripping with sap, which the hornets and the wasps and the butterflies were guzzling on. But now those bleeding cankers have dried up, and what are we getting instead? Dramatic bark split. If we come round the side of the tree, we begin to see other problems developing. You can see bleeding cankers further up the tree. You can see the bark is literally splitting away. And when you look lower down here, what you're seeing is honey fungus starting to creep up the roots. Phytophoras beginning to eat away and create decay in the roots. So basically we've got a completely unstable tree, which we haven't wanted to cut down, but we know that if it did fall over on its own accord, and as you can see it's beginning to lean now, if it fell down that way, it would land on any tourist bus that happened to be visiting us in the spring, or it would land on any cars or people or visitors who happen to be down on the drive outside the backyard. So in the next few days, tree surgeons will come and try and dismantle this tree piece by piece from the crown. Obviously there are going to be casualties and things it falls on around and about. We had contemplating cutting these rhododendrons down and then hoping that the stumps might reshoot after we've finished with all the bits of turkey oak lying on the ground. But on balance we think that actually it's a waste of time, and when it comes to it there'll be such a mess here that everything will be pretty much destroyed anyway, and this gigantic trunk has got to come out down through here. So if we go a little bit further, we can begin to see what else has been going on earlier this week. So to get access for the tree surgeons to fell the turkey oak and get the trunk out, we've had to literally cut a way through for the machinery to come through. And we also had another issue, which was a Abies grandis, which was planted here almost exactly 42 years ago, and you can easily count the rings. But unfortunately, although it was still only a very young tree, it didn't like the last two droughts, not this summer but the two previous ones, and the tree had died. You can see that it's not at all rotten in its base, but the top was completely had no foliage left at all, completely devoid of any life. And attached in this little zoom will be a picture of the tree surgeon, Kel, standing at the very top of this tree at about 60 or 70 feet, taking off the tops before he progressively came down the tree and felled it. Because we've made such a big gap here, we're doing a number of things. We're digging out all the stumps, which takes a lot of time and a lot of hard work with the digger, but actually it stops the honey fungus being in the ground and living on the dead roots as they rot away, and meaning that other things that we plant here die. We need to create enough room to plant a new windbreak, so we're probably going to be, if you look at the rhododendrons facing us, we'll probably cut them down and allow them to shoot again. We're not sure if those Chamaecyparis, Piscifera, Squarosa are going to be worth keeping or not. We think we will keep this young Scots pine, but the time will tell. And you can see we've already started to cut down some of these large rhododendron Cornish reds. They will shoot again, we won't grub them out, they'll all be absolutely fine. But to get to this enormous Turkey oak, which we'll turn and have a look at in a second, there's a hell of a lot of work has had to go on to get to it. And obviously a tree surgeon going to the top of that is an expensive and very dangerous business. But the reality is that in a garden that's open to the public, you can't just ignore a tree that's about to fall down, even if it's the most wonderful ancient tree that doesn't actually look terribly sick until you look at the base of it.